Good morning.
Go ahead, Mr. Bailey.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, ladies. This is the pre-game press conference for the game, Jamaica versus Honduras tomorrow at the National Stadium. And with me, of course, my name is Earl Bailey. With me is Coach Paul Hall. Coach, good morning.
Good morning.
Look, we suffered a heavy defeat against Canada a couple of days ago. It must be ringing in your head. What could we have done differently? If you were to play that game again, what would you do?
I'd have to ask the players for a quicker start. I feel that we allowed Canada to chase the game from early instead of quietening the crowd and the conditions around us. I think I would have asked the players to do that. Couple of things, of course, I would have liked the players to take their chances, especially when we had chances in front of goal. And that would have changed the course and the complexion of the game. But it was something to look at, and it was 10 minutes before they scored those last two goals. So we were always in it. I think there were some good passages of play and some good style of play, but just wanted the players to really take the moment, take the game by the scruff of the neck next time, and probably take more ownership in the game earlier on.
Mm-hmm. Clearly, we would have seen the weather, but without affected both teams. Were we prepared mentally, you think, for such a game? I mean, overall, it was really, really cold. I was there, I felt it.
Cold is not an excuse. I mean, there's one thing. I remember playing for Jamaica, and we played Canada, at 12 o'clock, I think it was. And that was the height of where the hottest part of the day was. So Canada have probably just used that and played us using their own conditions in their own country. So that's never an excuse. You can always run around and get warm, but it's very hard to run around and get cool. So it affected both teams, and I can't really use that one as an excuse. It's just something that we have to try to see if we can get used to it, especially if we want to go and play international games. You might have to play international games in cold countries. Football exposes us to all different types of temperatures. So it's a learning curve and a good learning curve for a lot of the players who had never been in the snow before. So it was a good learning curve for us, but it's not an excuse.
Finally, from me, one last question. Of course, we beat Honduras. Is the only team that we actually beat, if I recall, in this World Cup campaign, in the final round. You must feel like, look, we have to beat them here in our yard or office.
I said to the players at the start of the Canadian game, we're on our own journey, right? We are on our own journey, and Honduras are on their own journey. And I think what we need to do is take a long look at ourselves and see where we are in the whole picture and where we want to go to. We've got to have a strategy where we can end up doing well in these Nations Leagues, these Gold Cups, and arriving at World Cups consistently. Yes, we would like to win every game that we play. So Honduras is another game that we want to win tomorrow. So it is part of the story, yes, but it's more about getting the story right and getting the foundations right, and making sure that we can springboard forward and have a strong unit of people and a consistent unit of people with a plan in place. I think we need to plan our way forward now, and those steps are going to be really key to how we do it.
All right. Let's go to the first question. Who is on? Let's go to the first question. Robert? Daniel? Good morning, Daniel.
Morning. Coach, just two questions from me, just quickly. I know you said that the important thing is to concentrate, on our own journey, but how important it is for tomorrow's game to get a win from a morale perspective? to make sure that we end the campaign on a win to boost the morale? And the second question is that the recent results, how will a victory help you in your own quest to make sure to prove that you can be able to take the job full time? Thanks.
Well, the answer to your first question, which was about morale, ever since I've got here, one of the things that I feel with the Jamaican football team is we haven't been able to connect with the public, and we haven't been able to connect with each other very well. So we went to a restaurant last night, which was Andre Blake's restaurant, for morale, for togetherness, to be connected. And it's those type of things I feel that we need to reintroduce back into here. And a win probably would help the morale, yes it would, but that's not the total story. We will go out and try to win that game tomorrow, no question about that. However, morale it comes in different shapes and forms. And visiting a restaurant as a team, as a connected group, was really important for the morale and for the togetherness. So yeah, it's important that we try and get 3 points tomorrow, just to prove that we're good enough, I suppose. But like I said before, it's part of the story, and it's not the destination, it's part of the journey. So yes, we will try to win the game, but it's from morale, yes, it would help. The second part of the question was, sorry, tell me this second question again.
Yeah, the second part of the question was just in terms of the results. Do you think that it affects your own future and wanting to lead the team full time?
I think yes, it probably does. I'm not sure, because all I know that in my own brain, my job is to lay the foundations, whether it's me or whether it's somebody else, is to lay down a clear foundation for us to go forward. That's the most important thing. A win, by now, whoever employs me or if it doesn't employ me will know whether I could probably go forward and do this job. It's important to lay a foundation, because we've been trying this for well over 20 years, and we just need to draw a line in the sand and go forward with a plan, and somebody needs to do that, and we need to plan our way forward, and this thing isn't going to happen overnight. So yes, it probably would help, I'm not sure, but I think the more important thing is to lay a foundation, to have a foundation springboarding us forward and helping the football going forward for the boys and girls in Jamaica.
All right. Any other question? Let me hear. Any other question?
Daniel.
All right. Daniel, you go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Coach. Apart from the Mexico game, where we were down to 10 men for the majority of the game, in the games afterwards, it seems like your overall tactic is, to hold the ball and try to, keep it as best as possible. But it seems as though we aren't really as, I guess, decisive when it comes to the final third. What is it that you have told them, especially in this, before this Honduras game, to ensure that, we get some of those chances, because it hasn't been as, proficient as I'm sure that you would have expected?
Yes, and I mean, you can only take people to, that's one thing in football that you can't do. You can't tell them to score goals. I think what's pleasing about holding the ball is it's given us an identity, something to look forward to, a style of play that has been missing from what we do. I feel that, yes, I want them to be more clinical. Of course I do. Everybody wants to score goals. I want the team to score goals. I want them to possess them, because that's my preferred style of playing. I think if I was to get the ball and kick it from back to front, it wouldn't guarantee me goals. I think we just got to put the responsibility on those in those areas to go and pay attention to detail when they're trying to put the ball in the back of the net, and really just the last game that we played, which was El Salvador at home, it should have been 5 easy goals. So it comes down to personal finishing, personal finishing ability and being clinical. And so I'm just glad that we got those chances. But yes, I want the boys to finish their chances, because they are getting a lot of chances at goal. And hopefully we can go and do it, because it happened at Costa Rica and it happened at El Salvador. So the panic is not getting the ball up to the forwards anymore. The issue is now putting the ball in the back of the net. So yes, I want them to do that more.
Yeah, and final question. After the Costa Rica game, you said that you didn't really lose because you found Richard King. After these 2 games, what have you thought about the other local players that you've called up in terms of Bygrave, Zimenez, Nicholas Nelson, Daniel Green?
Well, I think they've been a revelation, and they've been able to change their families' lives and their own lives. I think the most important thing for those guys is to now not walk around like they've made it, but work harder to come back again. I think getting 4 debuts on has managed to show every other player in Jamaica that I'm not afraid to, if they're showing good signs, I'm not afraid to pick them, because it's how we all get each other better. Young Zimenez came on the pitch and he had a bit of a rocky start, but what a game to play in, and he handled it fantastically well. As well as Daniel Green, Bygraves. Bygraves works as hard as anybody else I've seen, and that was the first thing I saw about him. And so it goes on and it goes on. It's about giving people hope and trying to get a product where everybody's trying to keep everybody sharp. And those 4 players who I had the privilege of giving some playing time to, who probably wouldn't have expected it, have now got a responsibility to themselves and to the country to now push their own development higher and try to stay in this group of players.
Is that it, Daniel?
Yes, thank you.
Are we back to Mr. Wheeler? I see your hand up again.
Blake.
Yes, just one quick question. When you talk about the players, for example, Pearson and Zimenez, does this Honduras game give them an opportunity to, get on the pitch for a more amount of time than normal, just to throw them into the fire to see what they can really do?
I agree that when you throw them into the fire, it's the only way that you can tell what they're doing, and if they are at that point. But it's about, no, it doesn't guarantee them, because we still want to put experienced players in there. But what it does do is it shows that I'm not afraid to look behind me and say, get yourself ready. Because the moment of truth comes for every footballer where they're needed for the first time. I just believe that those young players can take the experiences of what they've traveled with us to Toronto, to a country that was going for the World Cup. They're a good team, there's no doubt about that. And take it back to the under-20s, because the under-20s have got to go and play in the Olympics very, very soon. And they've got 2 players now who have been in and around the first team. And they can go and tell those stories and take them back. And hopefully the other players around them can go and say, I want a piece of that action. So it's, especially for young Christopher Pearson and Zimenez, it's about being around it and seeing how the older boys operate and seeing if they can drag themselves up to those levels very, very quickly and use it as a teaching element to go back to the others. So yes, if they're needed tomorrow, they'll no doubt go on the pitch. But it's not about giving everybody time. They've got to earn that time. And again, I'll be watching them in the future, and they've got to earn it again.
I don't see a hand up. So does that mean that we don't have another question? All right, well.
No, cool.
All right, Paul Andre, yes. Good morning. Go ahead, man.
Morning, Earl. Morning, Coach. I just wanted to ask about the defensive makeup of the team, and because we've not been able to keep a clean sheet in a minute, and I wanted to know what are the plans for trying to shore up that area of our game.
Well, yes, it's an area that we want to address. I think we just got to keep, the more time you spend with a team, we get very little time to spend and to focus on different things. I think we've just got to make the players aware of their defensive responsibilities and try to become a hard team to beat. And it's really important to try and see if we can keep a clean sheet. And so I just asked them to listen, a clean sheet wins you a game of football, or it guarantees you a draw. So we'll be looking about that. That's something we'll be looking at in training today. And it's something that we need to look at going forward. It's not something that you can get away from. And we should be able to score one goal and win a game. At the moment, that hasn't been happening, but it's something that we have to address and look at. And there's no way you can not get away with it on the training pitch. If it's a problem, then you have to go and address it and make sure that it's in the players' minds.
Are there particular technical deficiencies that you see in the way that we are set up? So, for instance, in the El Salvador game, we gave up a goal from a set play, and it seemed that there was some amount of confusion about what to do in that particular situation. So, are there any other, sort of technical issues that you are looking at when you go into training today?
Technical. Can you explain that a little bit more, please? I didn't really understand what you was asking me.
Okay, most goals are given up because of an error. Not tracking, not marking spaces, not recognizing danger. Are there any of these things that you see as problematic in this team?
Yes, I think good question. And what I believe is, from a set piece, right? It's the only time on the pitch when everybody is always equal. Yeah, and it's about individual responsibilities. And I think you can almost point the finger at every single goal where somebody's not taking responsibility in that area. And you can see it's there for all to see. I wouldn't pick any names, but it's there for all to see. So giving people the responsibility of marking from a corner, from a set piece, and realizing that there are at least 3 or 4 phases where the ball's bouncing around after the initial ball's been kicked, is something that we have to address. Again, technically, we have to be strong, we have to be resolute, we have to stay with our runners, and we have to understand where the danger's coming from. And once the ball's been kicked, you can't just say, oh, it's over, because the second and the third phase is where the ball usually ends up in the back of the net. So we have to make them aware and continue to make them aware, and hope that they learn quickly. Otherwise, it's going to be a long game, and it will be a long afternoon for us, or evening, so I say. So yeah, there are technical things that we look at, and there are areas that we know where we need to improve. So we're looking about it.
All right, final question, please. Final question. All right, thank you for joining us today. We'll have training this evening from 7 to 8 at the National Stadium. The first 15 minutes will be free to the media. And we hope to see you tomorrow at the National Stadium. Thank you.